everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. We have a special friend to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show this morning. Please welcome an actress of passion and skill and integrity. You can see her in the hit crime drama Vindication and a regular on The Christian View, just to name a few associations that she has in entertainment. And as I said, a good friend to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show. With no further ado, please welcome actress Candace Kirkpatrick. What's up, Candace? How are ya?
I feel like a heavyweight champion stepping into the ring.
Candace is
so good to be on here with you, buddy.
Well, it's great to see you. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to sit down and chop it up. I mentioned Vindication in the open, which you have a prominent role in, a prominent association with that hit crime drama. You're quite entertaining and funny and quirky in this show, but very likable to the audience. Like, the audience doesn't want you to go anywhere. And why didn't you get her sooner?
Jared, do you hear that? Jared, I hope you're listening.
Yeah, you're absolutely awesome in Vindication. And for those of you that don't know, Vindication is a crime drama indeed. It's a faith-based crime drama that can be seen on PureFlix, Redeem TV, or you can get it on Amazon Prime. But it is an unknown, how should I put this? It is not a typical faith-based crime drama. I would call it something similar to Blue Bloods or NCIS or Law and Order, but it's faith-based, and it doesn't have all the dark stuff you get with those shows. However, it does get down to the nitty-gritty of issues, and Jared does that without crossing any lines. And as a Christian, you will absolutely love and appreciate Vindication. Am I right, Candace?
Well, I might be a little biased, but I totally agree. There isn't anything like that. And it's funny if you ever ask me how I got on the show, but I met Jared at the 2019 film festival, the Christian Worldview Film Festival.
Okay.
And I saw an episode of Vindication.
Yes.
And I went up to him afterwards and said, I am committed to praying for you because you are creating content that is relevant to our culture, that impacts our world, that shows, as a believer, nobody says it's easy. We live in a broken world, but it's how do you navigate it?
Correct.
And so I said, I'm committing to pray for you. That's what I said. He didn't know I was an actress. I didn't say I'm an actress. I didn't say, here's my card. I just said, what I saw, I think we need at this day and age. And that was 2019. So
and here we are in 2023. And as we speak, Jared is working on season 4. So your prayer, along with, I'm sure, the prayers of many others, are coming to fruition. And I would argue that it is one of the 2 most entertaining and popular series on Christian TV, and the other one being The Chosen. So
that's true. The teal fish.
Yeah, the teal fish. I want to give those out there that have never heard about Vindication or seen Vindication a little snippet. I'm going to play the trailer for season 3 of Vindication, created by Jared O'Flaherty.
What we're about to share with you, you cannot tell anyone. Not your best friend, not your priest, not your dog, not your wife. Nobody can know right now.
Yeah, I understand.
Single gunshot wound, close range. They recovered a 9mm hollow point round from the chest cavity.
Right now, all the evidence points to one place.
This is a manhunt. Suspect be considered armed and dangerous.
He isn't guilty of anything.
Something's going on. I was wondering why they ain't came and got me yet.
Someone is out to get your husband. I don't know why. Maybe you do.
Who did you meet with today?
We don't have enough on Thomas. He's always one step out of reach.
What's the plan? It's in the valleys where we grow the most, not the mountaintops.
What do you do with that knowledge? What does it change?
Things will last forever. That's what matters most.
I absolutely love it. That is an awesome trailer, and that is an awesome show. I remember in 2019, around about, Skeeta Jenkins and yourself introduced me to Vindication. I had no idea that it was out there.
Yeah.
And I searched it out. I sat down, I watched it, and I was immediately hooked. I think Todd Terry, first of all, does a tremendous job of being the face of Vindication. His
Totally.
acting is A+, and we are fortunate and blessed to have such an actor representing such a faith-based program.
Right.
I called Jared and I told him, I think it was episode 7, and I don't even know if I probably don't want to describe too much of it because I'll be giving too much away, but it is in season 3, and there was this scene with Todd, and without taking the risk of giving too much away, I looked at the scene and I called Jared. I said, he's Superman. He's Superman, Jared. I absolutely love it. And again, you know, Candace, you are tremendous. You came in to season 2. You're just absolutely awesome. My wife loves you in this series. Tell us about your role, as we're gushing on and on, particularly me, on and on about Vindication, going back to your debut season 2, and what the experience was like for you.
Well, first of all, as I've shared with you, I think off camera, I normally play very heavy, serious, dramatic roles, people who are just grieving. And I'm like, I got that.
Yeah.
But when Jared brought me in, he saw me on an interview. He saw me on an interview with somebody talking about my training and my background.
Yeah.
And he's going, that's the girl that's been praying for me? He had no idea. No idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
He called me up in February of 2020, 1 month before the pandemic hit, and said, I saw you on this interview and I would like to bring you into the show. And as you know, normally there was a character that's part of a storyline and they're just part of that one storyline.
Yeah.
That was typical for season 1 and 2, more so. And he said, I want to bring in you a character that's recurring. And I'm like, yeah, twist my arm, buddy. Twist my arm. Hello.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so then he wanted me to audition, and he's like, okay, think of this. And he was saying, he was giving me characters from different films and television shows. This is what I'm kind of thinking for her. Now, Jared, as you know, is the writer. He is the director. He is the creator. In season 1, he was also the editor. He was also the colorist. He was also the one cast. He was doing everything.
Yeah.
So he knows what it is he was looking for, but he said, let's kind of discover her together, you know? And that is what we did. And what I think is Janet is kind of a little bit of release from the tension. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she is. She absolutely
Working
is.
on Wall Street, and there's this constant pressure to perform. You know what I mean? There's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so she's kind of the release. And the thing is, as you know, being a comedian yourself, creating a character that is real and believable in that world.
Right.
So you can't go too far. I mean, I could do slapstick and really go off the end with her. It's like
Yeah.
giving her boundaries that is believable. And I think we all know somebody like that character. And so
Absolutely.
when he invited me in, and then, you know, people are like, oh, you did this and you did this. And Jared credits me. I credit Jared. Jared is a great writer, but he will say, because I'll say, can I add a line? Can I add this? And he'll say, oh, that works. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as he and I are on the same page with the character, you know, and then he gives me some wiggle room and some freedom within it. He is never like, crack the whip, this is what I do, because it is a collaboration, because we both want the same goal. We want it to be excellent. We want it to be done well. And so I'm just blessed, first of all, blessed to be on the series and to work with not only Jared, but some incredibly talented artists and actors behind the camera and in front of the camera. It is a gift, and I'm genuinely thankful for it.
Yeah, and I think your character is definitely comedy relief. And it's just quirky enough to kind of, like you said, eliminate the edge, because there is a certain edge to the show, which you love, but it's a great little diversion, and it enhances actually the overall intensity of the show. And you kind of remind viewers of, particularly if you're a little bit older, maybe especially for my generation, where you remind us of characters like that in certain shows.
Good. There's another character in the series that's sort of like that. That also, who would you say?
Whoa, that's a great question. Another character in the show, a little quirky. Oh my gosh, you got me on that one, Candace.
It's a male character.
Male character, a little quirky. Well, I'm searching my mind. I'm trying to go back because the show is so intense. Whoa, I'll just take a stab in the dark here and say Steve Moquet.
No.
No.
Okay. His character is a little quirky as well. He's a little, like, he's a nerd, but he's also a little.
Oh, you know. I know you're talking about. You're talking about the love interest of Chris Tanner.
Yeah, it's Kevin, played by Matt Holmes.
Yeah. I completely forgot about Kevin.
But don't you stress that little bit? He's a little off a little bit. You know, he's not operating. Perfect. But definitely his character is needed. You know, someone like that.
You know, someone like that. It's not quite as pronounced as yours. But it's there subtly.
Right.
And you appreciate it as the viewer, like, yeah, he's a little quirky. He's definitely a little quirky. Well, you know, his girlfriend is too.
Yeah.
They both play off of each other very well with the quirkiness. But I love the fact that you are in this series. I think it's awesome. Now, we were talking about the edginess of Vindication and how it's unlike, really, I can't think of any programming in the faith-based world that's really like Vindication. I want to ask you, as Jared has created this series where he's willing to tackle subject matter that you don't see very often in our genre, is there a need, I ask you, Candace, for Christian filmmaking to be more transparent in portraying real life experiences?
Okay. You were frozen, so I missed your sentence.
So is there a need for Christian filmmaking to be more transparent in its attempt to portray a real life circumstance or real life circumstances?
I say yes. Okay, you have people that want to see very squeaky clean Christian films, and there are wonderful directors out there doing that with excellence. Okay.
Yes.
But you have, let's say, a little foot in a church door. And they've already got up their, their walls, and they're not going to let it in. Okay. It's easy for them to dismiss it. But if you're doing something like this, that speaks to them. You're talking about a crime drama that speaks to them. And as you said, there is an edge. And I think season 3, even more so.
Yeah.
I think so. And on so many levels, in all the relationships and the content and everything. But as you know, there's no profanity, there's no nudity, there's no sex, there's none of those things. But you're seeing, as I said, the fallenness or the brokenness of our world, and that it's not always easy. It's not squeaky clean. It's not cookie cutter. It's not like you just slap John 3:16 on it and it's going to be good. It's like, how do you really need to dig in and walk the walk? And I think Jared does he does an excellent job at that. And he has hired, he's had the same DP, the same sound people since the very beginning, because they believe in the project.
Well, God doesn't do it for you. I mean, he gives you the anecdote, the tools you'll need to win, but you've got to dig in and you got to walk it out yourself. And I think Vindication, what Jared has done is he's able to go up to the line and not cross it. Like, we have to talk about these issues. Everybody's dealing with the same thing. Our next door neighbor that doesn't believe in God and doesn't ever go to church. Well, guess what? We're going through the same experience in life that they're going through. So in order for them to take your faith seriously, when you present something to them, they got to believe it.
Yes. And he deals with everything. He deals with cancel culture. He deals with human trafficking. He deals with social media and idolatry and domestic violence. He deals with all of it, And what I love too is that, as you said, you were mentioning Todd Terry. I think Todd Terry is a fabulous actor, an even better person. He's wonderful to work with. I love Todd Terry. And the things you see, though, you see not only what he's dealing with in each episode, but you see his spiritual transformation from where he was in season 1 to where he is at the end of season 3 and presently shooting in season 4. You see the Lord's work in his life, in that character's life, not only him personally, in his relationships, and how he views work, everything. So it's really good. I think it's a great show.
Well, Todd is a total professional, and he's a very humble person.
Very.
Which kind of surprises you at how humble he is. I mean, Todd is not a grandstander. He's not arrogant. He's not trying to be, Mr. Big Stuff at all. He's a regular guy. He plays Mr. Big Stuff on screen. He's able to take on that big man persona on screen, like, wow, this guy is really tough. But in person, he's a really down to earth guy, and he's the face of Vindication. Make no mistake about it. But a tremendous cast to go along with him. You being one of those.
Thank you.
But do you think Vindication can also, as we mentioned, other faith-based programming can be a template for other directors to follow?
Yes, but I think I would love for Vindication to get the audience that, like, The Chosen has. I would love to have that kind of, Angel Studios and Dallas Jenkins. They have done such a phenomenal job promoting that show and getting viewer support. I would love to see that happen first with Vindication, because then I think there would be more templates. Like, more people would see it and say, oh, this is possible. Because you will encounter some people who want to create content that's gritty, but they're crossing the line. And I get lots of scripts to read, and I'm like, who are you trying to appeal to? I mean, because a Christian is going to say no, and a non-Christian, if you're presenting them engaging in all of these things, and then at the end you're going to try and slap the gospel on the end, they're going to like, no way, we don't believe you.
Yeah.
And so I think Jared has done a phenomenal job of showing this is the world and this is how we are living in it. As it says, we are to be in the world, but not of the world. And yet we stumble and we fall. And that's what you see over and over in Vindication also, that there is grace and there is redemption and there is forgiveness and there is mercy and there is healing. So I think Jared does a great job. He's
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks, talking with actress Candace Kirkpatrick. I mentioned Steve Mokate a little bit earlier. He's villain of the show. He's like Dr. Doom. I call him Dr. Doom. If you ever read the Marvel comic books, the villain you never catch Dr. Doom. And he's just a great actor but at the same time, Steve Mokate in person is a different kind of guy as well. What's it like working with Steve?
Steve is hysterically funny.
And that's why it kind of, when you said who's the other quirky guy, I mean, even though he's the bad guy in the film, there's something about the way Steve plays the villain that's slightly humorous.
Well, in person, he is ragging on Todd Terry all the time. It's like constant.
Yeah.
So he loves it. He loves it. And he's very funny. He's really a funny person. But it's funny, he didn't even know his character was going to take all these turns. And when he told his wife, his real wife, not the wife in the show, his real wife said, okay, I might be leaving you at this point. Anyway, but he is a delightful person. He's delightful.
Yeah, Steve is a lot of fun to talk to, and he really plays the role of the villain quite well. He does it so smoothly that you just got to appreciate the way he does that, and he adds a lot, quite frankly and honestly, to the show villain. Right. And you kind of love hating him, and you're like, whoa, are they ever going to get this guy? But he does a great job portraying the villain. But I also wanted to talk about TC Stallings. You've done quite a few scenes with TC, who's known for his roles in Courageous, War Room, and God's Compass. What has been your experience in working with TC?
Well, I'll tell you that, but another thing to see TC, to me, one of his best film performances is a film called No Vacancy.
Okay.
He takes on a character you've never seen him in. And I just want to give a plug for people seeing him in No Vacancy.
Absolutely.
In this, I love working with TC. I love working with him. And his faith is so authentic.
It is.
He's passionate about the Lord and representing Jesus well. He really is.
Yes.
He and I got brought in at the exact same time. Very exact same time.
Well,
and season 2, episode 1. But his character, I think he's a wonderful actor, and just, as I said, authentic in his faith. He walks the walk, and he is just, yeah. I think he and Todd and Venus, those dynamics are really good. You know?
Well, yeah. They are really good. And I think TC, you and TC, again, as you mentioned, came in at the same time. And as I also mentioned, you've done quite a few scenes with TC. And I thought if anyone would have an opinion of his ability, you would, as you have, really stolen a lot of the scenes in the show. You've just it's like, man, I mean, Candace just dominated. But he plays very well off of your character.
Oh, yes. Yeah. But he's a professional. He's such a professional. I mean, I enjoy working with him. I really do. And I mean, working in scenes, and when I get to see him, and I have to tell you this, Jared is very secretive. If I'm not in a scene, if I'm not in an episode, I don't see the script. He won't let me see the script.
Yeah.
And we don't see it, any of the episodes, until they're released to the public. So often I'll see TC or Todd in something, or Peggy in something, or Brett Varvel in something. And I will be texting them like, I'm seeing it when it's released to the public. Like, that was phenomenal. I love this scene, and I'll be going over it, but it would have been nice to have even known it. But I mean, I look at it and go, wow, I didn't even know that. So again, like you were talking about, Todd Terry as Superman. I mean, I think each of the people that Jared has placed in it is phenomenal. I couldn't imagine anybody other than Peggy Schott playing Todd Terry's wife. I think they work so well opposite each other. I think Venus is just beautiful as in her role. she's been able, fortunately, throughout the seasons to cover the gamut of emotions, and she handles it with such grace. I love her. But Todd and TC and Steve, all of them, I think, the way they operate off of one another, I think not only kudos to them and their professionalism and their talent, but also to Jared in selecting them and knowing, like, this is what I'm going for. I think it's great.
Well, and we also have Cameron Arnett, who was in Overcomer, and I believe he won Actor of the Year in 2019 or 20 at the International Christian Film Festival. He's also, I don't know if I'm recalling any scenes where the two of you were together.
No, but I've actually been in 4 things with Cameron.
Okay.
Running the Bases, Angels Unaware, An Angelic Christmas, and Vindication. And I just saw Cameron this week, and incredibly talented man. Like, if you want to see him in something nice, just he and Karen Abercrombie operating off each other, but also the character that he plays in Vindication, Joe. I mean,
yeah,
depth, because again, I'm not giving anything away from season 2, where he is as the spiritual leader and, and all of that stuff. And then Jared takes his character in all different directions. You know what I mean? And Cameron is wonderful to watch. Beautiful actor. And again, another godly person, Christ over career, as you know. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Without question. As you mentioned, Running the Bases, starring Brett Varvel, which was a faith-based summer hit in 2022. This film gave us a glimpse of what standing for your faith, and it gave us kind of a sneak preview of the cost of standing for your faith, what it could cost you. How far away, Candace, do you think the American Christian is away from being incarcerated for their faith?
I don't know. I think we need to represent the Lord better before we are. I mean, I don't like they say, do you have enough evidence against you to get you accused? You know what I mean?
Boy, that's a great point. I love it.
Sad thing is, do we look more like the world, or are we being set apart? And are we living such? That's
great
the. I mean, I don't want to be so homogenized that I look like them. I really want my light to so shine that others will see my good works and glorify my Father in heaven. And that's what I would rather be. If I'm called to be salt and light, then I don't want to blend in. And I think sometimes we may play it safe. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think we're called to be undercover Christians. Nor do I think we're to be like, I don't think Jared is hitting people over the head with Vindication.
No, not at all. No.
But people need to see that we live and respond and act differently, because people are always watching. And I guess the question is, are we leading them closer to the Lord or farther away?
Yes.
What I'm doing is what I'm saying, and things I'm investing in, what I'm listening to, how I'm responding, not when I'm behind the camera, just when nobody's watching me. And yet people are watching. And I want to be accused of being a Christian. I want that. I want my light to say, there is a follower of Christ.
Yes. Yes. I love that response, Candace. I mean, in fact, I don't think I've heard one like that, as I have asked this question on a number of occasions. I've just thrown it out there in certain circles. And I love your response. It's quite, well, I don't think we have anything to worry about, Maurice. I think that's the reality, Candace. I don't think we do reflect Christ very well. I don't think the American Christian reflects Christ very well. Nobody's coming after us. Nobody's worried about us.
Exactly. I mean, they tell you that whole frog analogy. You put the frog in the water and then you turn it up, and that's what happens. You can turn up the heat on it. And if you do that, the frog does not jump out. It becomes acclimated to the water, to the water, to the heat until it dies. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we don't want to be that. He's called us, we are to be sanctified, consecrated, set apart. And, you know, we can point out those large Christians who are out there. You know what I mean? Greg Laurie, you know, Jesus Revolution and all of his stuff with Harvest Ministries and all that kind of stuff. He's out there all the time. You know, you can point at him. But again, I think just for the regular Christian, you know, I think and it's not, again, I don't think we should be thumping our Bibles at people, because that is putting people off, putting others off. And they were like, no, I don't want that. But we do need to live that we don't look like the world. You know, I don't want to accept the things that the world accepts and say, this is okay with me, because it's not.
It's not okay. And to your analogy about the frog, I don't want anyone saying he tastes like chicken. So no, hey, Candace, you're 100% correct. I have a show called Breaking Down the Four Walls that I do with comedians, and we break down the Bible, and we're in Acts chapter 17, and we're talking about Paul and Silas reasoning with the Greeks of the day and giving their take, their beliefs. I mean, how many Christians today in America are willing to publicly reason why we follow Christ? You don't see that very often.
Yeah. And we can't be, it says, I'm unashamed of the gospel. I'm unashamed. And that's the thing. It has to be, I think you can't just go to church on Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
Monday through Sunday, in spending time in God's word and in your prayer closet, to be built up in the word so that you can answer in everybody with gentleness and grace. It says that always be willing to give an answer, but do so with gentleness and respect. And I think that's only because you are spending time in the word. And I think also the more time you spend in the word, you see God's abundant grace and mercy, that then when you look at people, you have eyes of compassion rather than judgment. And that love, you know, I said they will know we're Christians by our love. It is only when we are spending so much time with our Heavenly Father and Christ, who they are love, that we can have those kind of soft eyes towards others.
Yes, yes. And I want to give a shout out to Brett Varvel. I had an opportunity to interview Brett a couple of years ago as well. And he was also in the Kurt Warner story. He did a great job in that film.
Yes, he did.
What was it like in Running the Bases, as he was the star of this film, and he did an awesome job? What was it like working with Brett?
Wow. You are just nailing all of these beautifully talented people. My first experience with Brett is that he directed me in a short that he wrote called Foundations.
Okay.
So that was my first. And then you really saw how much he loves the Lord, loves his wife, and loves his kids.
Yes.
He is such a gentleman. He's truly a gentleman.
Yes.
And when things aren't going well, or there's problems, or as you know, when you're on set, things come up. There's
sure.
rain, and you need to shoot the next 3 days outside or something like that. Or you have somebody who is part of the crew who's had an emergency and they have to drop out. You got to replace them or something like that. Brett is the first one to say, here, and go to the directors. Can we pray about this? Can I pray for you? How can I pray for you?
Yeah.
But as far as an actor, I think he is also just splendid. He did such a marvelous job in Running the Bases.
He did. He really
working
did.
off Cameron. If you notice, he's working off Cameron, and he's also working off Todd Terry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just funny, is like, you know, here we got them together again. And so just a wonderful job, and just beautiful job. I think the world of Brett.
That was as I said, a summer hit of 2022. Great faith-based film in theaters. And I believe you can I'm not sure what platform you can get it on now. How can fans see Running the Bases now?
It's on PureFlix, but it's also on lots of other platforms now. You can just Google Running the Bases, and it will show you like 7, 8, 9 different platforms. It
Yes.
continues to win awards, though, as best feature film, as yeah. I mean, Gigi does a great job. Cameron does a phenomenal job. Todd Terry,
Yes.
Brett Varble, all of them wonderful. If you notice in that, for my character in Running the Bases, did you notice who I was playing opposite of?
Todd.
Yes, but the roles were reversed. Did you notice that?
Well, the roles were reversed without the quirkiness on Todd's part. But yes, the role you were the big dog in that one,
Yeah.
Candace.
Yeah.
But I really think that, you know, I know we don't want to forget Michael Patterson, who was also in that film and a good friend of ours.
I love Michael. I love Michael.
Michael's got a great heart. He's got a great heart for the Lord, and he gives his all. I mean, he is such an authentic and determined, intentional actor. You got to love anything you see Michael in.
Yeah, but like you said, he is a hard worker. He gives it all, and he too is humble. He too is humble.
He's a very, very humble man.
Yeah.
And so, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio with Cameron. Check that, actress Candace Kirkpatrick. You did a feature called Angels Unaware with Karen Abercrombie and Cameron. What can you? Because I've not had an opportunity to see this one yet. But what can you tell us about this project and how fans can see it?
It's funny is I just saw Cameron this week, 2 days in a row earlier this week, and we were talking about that show. That was written by Karen Abercrombie, and I think maybe a woman named Lynn, I mess up her last name, Marciello or something. They partner together a lot to write.
Okay.
And Karen's goal was for this to be an episodic to this character. You've not seen this one?
I have not had a chance to see this one.
I will try and tell you things without giving you anything away, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Karen and Cameron are the two leads, and Karen appears in different situations, and Cameron is the antithesis to Karen's character. But what you are seeing is almost if you know the Ephesians 6 passage, that our battles are not against, humans, they are against heavenly force in the spiritual realms.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it's like if you could pull back the veil or the curtain and see behind that, and you would be able to see the battle that's going on. And these characters that Karen has beautifully created is, again, authenticity of what's going on in the world. There's only been one episode done, and it's on PureFlix, but it's also on lots of other platforms as well.
Okay.
And she meets people at critical moments in their life when they have a choice to make. It's kind of like years ago, there was a show called Touched by an Angel.
Yeah.
Take it to as gritty as you can get it, and it's a faith-based show.
Wow.
When people are needing, and Cameron's role is unlike anything Cameron has played. And again, both are quite significant in when they encounter a person that's about to make a decision, that if you go this way, it changes the entire trajectory of your life.
Well, I had a chance to interview Karen Abercrombie on a number of occasions, and I remember her saying in regards to Angels Unaware that Cameron tore this one up.
Okay. I would agree. But what's funny is when I just told you I saw Cameron this week, and I was asking him, like, he has played so many roles and so many characters.
Yeah.
We were talking about, when you're given characters, you're kind of a place marker. They need somebody who is solid in their skills and they're operate in that. Or if you're given something that's really meaty to you, just really, and that's what he said about Angels Unaware.
Yeah, and I think I've seen a poster of the project, and he's got an ominous look on his face, like, whoa. I don't think I've ever seen that side of Cameron, but he's got great range. I mean,
Yes,
he's a consummate actor, and
yes.
any way you want to turn this thing, Cameron can pull it off.
I totally agree with you. As you remember, do you remember seeing him in Discarded Things?
I do.
Yeah, that was not your regular nice.
No, it wasn't. It gave you kind of a glimpse at his range. I have a feeling that Angels Unaware is an unleashed
There you go.
idea of that kind of ability to show something you've never seen before
Yes,
from him. But again, he just got great range. He's a consummate actor. Cameron is one of those guys
both of them
that
are.
he could be in the secular world making a lot of money if he wanted to. Todd Terry's another one of those guys if he wanted to. Candace Kirkpatrick is another one of those folks if she wanted to. We're blessed to have people like yourselves devoted to Christ and to faith-based entertainment.
Well, the thing is, I got to stand before the Lord. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I want to hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant."
And listen, Candace, and I mean that when I say it because I know how your career started. I mean, you are a wonderful actress. If you wanted to go for the money, you could, and you've decided to serve the Lord. And I just thank you for your commitment to the Lord
Well,
in this world.
you, he's first and foremost, as Nicole C. Mullen used to say, audience of one. You do everything for an audience of one, and that's what I I'm held accountable for what I do, and I want to honor him. But I don't, and I say this with all due respect, I don't want everything to be so whitewashed and clean, though, that it's not real. I want it to be real
Yeah,
because we are trying to reach all people with the gospel.
that's what we're trying to do. And that's really why I asked you about Jared's series Vindication being used as a template for faith-based filmmakers, because I believe by and large they are afraid to tackle meaty subjects. And I
Right.
think at the end of the day, and you mentioned this at the top of the show, there's a way to go about that without crossing lines.
Yes. And it's not, again, but it's not like I want to skirt on the edge. It's not like I'm not trying to do that. It's saying I'm trying to create content that is relevant and impactful, but that will resonate with people so much. Because a lot of times, like, if you've been in jail, you're going to have a far better opportunity to reach other inmates because
Yes.
can't dismiss you and say, "Oh, you don't know what it's like. You've never experienced anything like it." Or if you're coming out of drug rehab, you can talk to an addict more than somebody who's never touched anything like that. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm encouraging people to go get themselves in prison and do drugs, but I'm saying we need to meet them where they are to bring them to the Savior.
Amen.
And for us to have access to them, we need to be raw, transparent, vulnerable without compromising our faith and our walk and our testimony. That's what I feel.
And I think we're edging closer to that kind of entertainment. There's a director out there by the name of Nathan Leone, and this film that I was at the International Christian Film Festival this past May, and he won the Audience Choice Award for his film, and it was cutting edge.
What was the film?
I wish I could remember the name of it, but look up Nathan Leone.
Was
He's
it shot in Atlanta? And it had Will from Running the Bases in it?
I want to say he was a part of the film, yes. And I believe Cameron Arnett is in there as well, I believe.
Yes. Okay. I know what you're talking about. I'm drawing a blank on it. Yes.
And there's not been a release date yet given or anything. I think it's still in the process of contractual stuff, if you will. But it is so cutting edge. It doesn't cross any lines. It meets people where they are, Candace. And it was the rave of the festival this past May. And I just think faith-based entertainment, faith-based filmmakers are starting to get the idea. We've got to be more believable to the secular world. We've got to give them the kind of experiences, again, to your point of meeting them where they are. And,
so we can lead them to the Father. That's
yes,
the point.
that's the point.
We don't want to just put out stuff that is, you know, gritty, that is compromising. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't want to do that. No,
No,
not
we
at all.
put out stuff that is true and believable, so that if they don't step in a church door and they step in a movie theater, that they may have a divine encounter with a risen Savior. That's the point.
That is the point. That
Yeah.
is absolutely the point, Candace. You are also a part of a panel. You are part of a panel, or a program, I should say, that is the answer to The View. It's called The Christian View, and I love it. And you are on a panel of hosts.
Yeah.
Tell us about The Christian View and how our viewers can watch it.
Well, The Christian View, first of all, it is, I think, in its 9th season right now.
Wow.
Ninth
Wow. That's amazing.
And just so you know, in the earlier seasons, Cameron Arnett was one of the co-hosts.
Okay. Wow.
Along with Isaac Hernandez, Faith and Film.
Well, I know Isaac's a good friend of mine. I did not know that. Wow.
So this is it. And I don't know how long the lead host is Dr. Trudy Simmons. And I love working with her. Not only is she steeped in the word, but she is also a professional. She's Dr. Trudy Simmons, a professional therapist and counselor. And so we tackle issues, like some of them are brought up by viewers who want you to ask questions like, you know, if somebody commits suicide, will they go to heaven or hell? I mean, questions like that, you know, and what we're doing is we're handling hot topics and we're weighing it against what God's word says.
Yes.
And so some of the questions come from them. A lot of them come from Trudy, of things that she encounters day in and day out. And it used to be predominantly, and I think especially when Cameron and Isaac were on it, always the 5 hosts, with 5 hosts answering these questions. And but in the past year, Dr. Trudy has broken it up a bit. Instead of just all panels, she will have one-on-one interviews. She'll have one-on-one interviews, then a panel, then one-on-one interviews, and then a panel. But it can be seen. It's filmed. We film it in Atlanta, WATC TV 57.
Okay.
And then it comes out on Channel 57. But it's now being shown all over the world on other different platforms, including recently, it's now in Hong Kong. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then it's now also been picked up on Apple Podcast. And then after it airs, if you don't see it the week that several of them, the week that they air, then it also appears on YouTube.
Okay.
Sorry.
So when you think about The Christian View, like I said, it's the answer to The View. You mentioned Isaac Hernandez, who has a great faith-based talk show on the virtual platform called Faith on Film. If you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, to check it out, Faith on Film, Isaac Hernandez, he's got a lot of great interviews on there. I highly advise you to seek it out and watch them. We're talking with Candace Kirkpatrick on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. You're currently, Candace, working on a film called My 7 Grandmas with Christian comedian Jeff Allen. What can you tell us about this project and its release?
I'm praying it's released by the end of the year.
Okay.
It's now, we just signed on the composer who has begun working on it. So I'm very thankful. It's in the can. Everything's done. We shot it last year, like September of last year.
Okay.
And we shot it in Minnesota. It's a delightful comedy, hysterical comedy. No, it's got an incredible message throughout, but it's also got a lot of comedy in it. It's hopefully a great balance of both of them. But as you know, Jeff Allen is a brilliant comedian, but he played a serious role in this.
Well,
More-
I love it. I mean, I can kind of identify with that. I had the opportunity to be in the comedy Love Different, directed by Anthony Hackett in
Oh,
2016.
yes, I saw that.
And as a comedian, I'm playing a serious role, which is kind of a departure from what I'm normally doing. But it was a great opportunity to try something different.
Right.
And so I can identify with Jeff Allen. I can't wait to. Jeff Allen is a tremendous comedian,
Yes.
and I can't wait until this one comes out.
Me
do you
too.
know-
I can't wait.
Do you know if it's going to be released in theaters?
I'm not sure if they're going to get it first in some festivals, film festivals by the end of the year, or theater. Where all of that's still being discussed, but those aren't the decisions that I make. But working with Jeff was wonderful. He was fully present when you were working with him, fully present.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it tremendously. It also has a newcomer that you will like. Her name is Kate Larson.
Okay.
Kate is now 17 years old. 17 years old. She wrote her first short at age 14 and won so many awards, including Best Actress at ICFF. She took and developed that into a feature film, and it has exploded on every platform, and it's called Into the Spotlight. She, as a 16-year-old, created a TV series episodic called The Glitch, which she is also working on that. It's just lovely when you see young people who are committed to the Lord using all of their gifts and talents to exalt his name. And her desire is to reach her generation and to provide content that is a substitute to what they are seeing out there, because there isn't much content for teens that is not only speaking to their generation, but is also uplifting and has a great message. So she's doing a wonderful job. So it was the three of us and then 7 grandmas in my 7 grandmas.
Candace, you are so busy in the faith-based world of entertainment, one project after another. Every time I look up, there's Candace again, and I love it. And you're doing great work. And so much so that I have to ask the question, what else is coming up on the horizon for Candace Kirkpatrick?
Well, prayers, buddy, prayers, Maurice. We need lots of prayers. Can you believe
Yes,
that? Drum roll, please. I started a production company.
Okay. Oh, wow.
It's called Trilight Pictures, and we are now about to begin raising funds to do our first feature called Crowning Glory.
Okay.
And I'm so excited and absolutely petrified. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand. It's such a huge undertaking. I have so much respect for directors and producers, screenwriters, directors in particular. But it's because you're responsible for everything, the whole. But I mean, you already know this. You're diving in, and I think if anyone can do it, you can. But I've got huge respect for the craft because there's so many things that you have to manage and make sure that they're in place. I don't know how you guys do that stuff, but kudos to you.
Oh, I'm serious. I'm so in over my head, Maurice. You know, I'm not lying, because you realize you can only work only as a right brain for so long. You need the synapses, you need this left side kicking in.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's a day at a time. I feel like a step forward, 10 steps back. I'm constantly learning. And again, we're just offering it every day to the Lord. We had an hour Zoom call today, an hour and a half Zoom call today, just prayerfully doing the next step. And, I was telling them on the phone today, on our Zoom call, given what's going on in the world right now, in the Middle East and everything, this is just, I'm not a preacher and I'm not standing on a soapbox, but I feel like, the time is short. We need to make the most of every opportunity. And so I want what I do to matter, to have significance, to have meaning. As I shared earlier, people are watching, and I want what I do to bear much fruit. I want to be abiding in the vine and bearing a lot of fruit and be used up until he takes me home. That's what I want to do.
I totally agree, Karen. And to your earlier analogy about the frog, I don't want anyone saying he tastes like chicken. Candace Kirkpatrick on the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. You can also see it courtesy of KCHF TV in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the entirety of this interview with Candace and where all major podcasts are heard. Candace, I want to thank you again. Longtime buddy, since we've had an opportunity to sit down and chop it up. This has been a great conversation, and hopefully we can speak again in the near future. In the meantime, Karen, may the peace of Jesus Christ be with you and your family. God bless you.
Thank you, Maurice. I really appreciate it.